Yo, fancy community, welcome to Proper Tings, the FPL show brought to you by the TT FPL Pro-League, episode 24. So how is everyone doing? We come in with a quick fire episode this week as game week 22 is still in progress as it's currently Thursday, so United fans anticipately waiting to see what goes on when their game versus Wolves. But here the content don't stop and we have an episode to deliver. So without further ado, kicking things off on this quickfire episode with the review of Game Week 22. So the road thus far is not completely finished, but for the 8 games that I've played so far, we saw Arsenal squeak past Nottingham Forest 2-1, Starboy Saka performing at night with a nice goal, 3 bonuses. Everton and Fulham played out a 0-0 draw. Luton shocked Brighton 4-0 at home. Hat-trick there for the Luton striker. 3-2 was the score between Crystal Palace and Sheffield. Olise and Eze putting on a masterclass. Aston Villa went down at Villa Park to Newcastle 3-1. Fabian Schär double. My boys Manchester City conceded late, but nonetheless Alvarez double on his birthday for a 3-1 win versus Burnley. Tottenham defeated the Honeybees of Brentford 3-2. Richarlison on the mark again. Tony with a masterclass goal and assist and a bonus point. And the last game thus far, a 4-1 win for Liverpool versus Chelsea. Darwin missing the penalty, but Jota continuing to reward owners with a nicely taken goal. So that is the road thus far in the abridged review of Game Week 22. And now with the reviews signed and delivered, we're moving quickly along to the most anticipated segment in the entire show. I'm speaking about the Proper Things segment. Here we give you the picks that should be in your team now and going forward as they are the centerpieces to FPL with the Proper Things picks. Meal movers for the aggressive players looking to rise rank immediately. Spilt milk meaning they have overstayed their welcome in your team, and winnering picks are the players you should keep an eye on with possibly moving in the coming weeks. So we kicking things off, of course, with the Proper Things picks. Again, the picks that are the centerpiece to FPL and should be in your team now and going forward. And last game week, we had one home run. He was also my captain in Kevin De Bruyne, going off for 7 points. And a couple misses in defense with the Arsenal boys, whether it being Gabriel and Saliba conceding late. So 2 apiece there for the Arsenal centre-backs. And João Pedro had no service in an absolute beatdown from Luton, a 4-0 win there again for Luton. So 2 points for GP. So we went 1 for 3 in the Proper Things segment last week. But this week, we expecting a big bounce back. And kicking things off in the defense with Pedro Porro now at a astounding 5.6 million for Spurs. With the return of Maddison, the set pieces may now have to be shared between Madders and Porro, but I expect Porro to nonetheless be one of the best attacking defenders in the entire FPL. Again, if you don't have him already, you will be paying a premium at 5.6 million. I think he's up there with the likes of Trent Alexander-Arnold, but we already know the price that Trent commands. Trippier, whose Newcastle form is up and down, it seems to be more up right now, coming in at 6.8. So if you don't have Porro, I would recommend you get him, although there is a blank coming up in Game Week 26 because there's possibility for high upside and the haul is coming. So Pedro Porro is your Proper Things defender pick at 5.6 million. In midfield, well, he returned, he scored 12, he played again and scored 7 points. I'm speaking about Kevin De Bruyne, coming in now at a whopping 10.7 million. And what can I say about Kevin? He's class personified. He seems to just hit the ground running every time he comes back from injury. I like the fixture versus Brentford on Monday night. It should be the full return of Erling Haaland. But no Haaland, no problems, as Alvarez picked up the slack with 2 goals on his birthday this game week. So I don't think there's any problem with De Bruyne's form or the fixture. There's always going to be that cloud around who Pep selects and the players getting the snaps for Manchester City, but I think Kevin De Bruyne right now is being ramped up, so I expect another start on Monday night, another 70 minutes, and I expect Kevin De Bruyne to perform as usual. So he is your Proper Things midfielder pick for game week 23. And finally, in attack, he's back. It's not Erling Haaland, but the Englishman Ollie Watkins is your proper things forward pick, coming at 8.8 million. Last week we were keeping a keen eye on him to see how he went versus Newcastle. Villa did go down 3-1, but Ollie was the guy getting the goal, and he was in the bonuses. So Ollie Watkins rewarding those who are keeping faith in him and punishing those who don't have him. He has a absolute premium green bean fixtures, I would say, this upcoming game week against Sheffield. I expect Aston Villa to win this game and win it handsomely, and I expect Ollie Watkins to be at the focal point of everything good happening in Aston Villa's attack. So Aston Villa, Ollie Watkins, it's gears up, and I'm looking for a big performance from the Englishman as your proper things forward pick for game week 23. And now with the proper things pick sorted, we move into my favorite segment in the show. It's a needle mover segment for all the aggressive players looking to rise rank immediately. These are the players you should target. Last week we didn't look too good in needle movers, as Pedro Porro, Odegaard, and the big gamble in Haaland didn't pay off, as none of these players returned handsomely at all. And this game week we given easier upside and high octane players in Moreno from Aston Villa as your needle mover defender pick, coming in at 5.1 million. I know that Aston Villa has a great fixture, but Moreno especially seems to apply that attacking threat down the flanks for Aston Villa in Unai Emery's setup. I absolutely love this as a needle mover pick as well because of the low ownership, and they have a great chance of getting a clean sheet this week. I know a lot of players have Martinez in goal, the Pau Torres owners, the Konsa owners. Not much love for Moreno. So if you're lacking defensive cover, looking to bring in a defender for a short-term option, I think Moreno from Aston Villa, 5.1 million, is the best needle mover defender at the moment. I know it's a tough defenders market right now if you're not going for the Arsenal centre-backs. Poor already in your team, Trent Alexander-Arnold. You're not really trusting Chelsea, but at 5.1 million, I think Moreno is a bang for buck as a short-term needle mover. Now in midfield, this one is a little tricky because Liverpool do have a tough fixture against Arsenal at the Emirates this upcoming game week. But form is key right now, and Diogo Jota is one of the most informed players in the entire game. He lands on the needle movers list this week because those who already have him will be playing him, of course, but those looking at the fixtures may be a little perturbed in bringing in the Portuguese forward. But you have to remember Jota has an absolutely splendid record versus Arsenal. Arsenal, while they may be seen as one of the top teams in the league, they do give chances, and Liverpool is one of the most attacking teams in the entire Premier League, and Jota is in great form. At 7.9 million, he could be a great escape from Mo Salah at the moment, as he's currently injured, and we don't know when Mo Salah is going to be back. So Jota could be that placeholder Liverpool midfielder pick that you need. Also, after the Arsenal game, Liverpool have some absolutely amazing fixtures in February, so and a possible double game week in game week 25. So Diogo Jota, if you don't already have him, you may be perturbed by the fixture, but I would definitely bring him in if you're looking for a midfielder. 7.9 mil, your needle mover midfielder pick for game week 23. And finally, in attack, at the current time of recording, Alexander Isak does not look like he's going to be fit for game week 23. However, between the time of recording, there's a little window between Friday and maybe if you wake up early Saturday to get some news on the Swedish hitman. Now, if Isak is fit and his gears up, I would definitely like him as a new mover forward pick, as Callum Wilson is also on the treatment table at the time of recording. Of course, if you get news that Isak is not going to play, you don't bring him in, but I have him as a needle mover pick simply because, again, he's injured and not a lot of people will be looking his way. But Newcastle are a team that if they get a length on an opponent, they seem to absolutely demolish them. They don't win games 2-0. They go for 3-4, they juggle at 5. And Alexander Isak is locked in on pens as well. So if you get news that the Swedish hitman is going to play for Eddie Howe's team, I'll definitely have him as the striking option I will target to get that rise in points. So Alexander Isak is your needle movers forward pick for Gameweek 23. And now with the needle mover pick signed and delivered, we move into the spilt milk segment. These are the players that have overstayed their welcome in your team as they are beginning to smell, and oh boy, is it funky. And for those who kept hold of a player or who bought him in on his return, you saw what you had to see, and it wasn't good. It was an absolute disaster class from Ben Chilwell of Chelsea coming in at 5.4 million. I mean, he had an assist at the opposite end as he was clearly to blame for the first goal that Diego Jota scored, losing the ball to Conor Bradley and diving in the box simulation, missed passes. It was an absolute disaster class. You name it, he did it. And it was not pretty. And Chelsea do have a nice run of fixtures, but is Ben Chilwell worth the $5.4 million price tag? And I would say no, definitely not. If you're looking to bring in a Chelsea defender, you have better options in the cut price for Gusto. Maybe you take the punt on Colwell. But Ben Chilwell, it's no bueno at all. So wheels down, it's really funky for Ben Chilwell. Spilt milk defender pick for Gameweek 23. In midfield, I know there are a lot of owners of the Arsenal captain coming at 8.5 mil, Martin Odegaard, but oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. This one has gone pear-shaped really quickly. I mean, the underlying stats are great, and you expect this asset to come good at some point, but the waiting game is a deadly game in FPL. And right now, with assets booming left, right, and center, whether it be the points from the Crystal Palace duo, Diego Jota, the Manchester City boys in Phil Foden or Kevin De Bruyne, and Jared Bowen, of course, being on show later, you can't really wait for Martin Odegaard to come good as you're losing ground on your fellow league mates. If you're looking for an Arsenal midfielder, of course, most have the Starboy Saka, but I can't recommend a double up in midfield right now for Arsenal. They do play Liverpool this game week, which is a tough fixture, and they do have a nice fixture versus Burnley on the horizon. So definitely keep one of the two, but I can't really recommend keeping the both and Martin Odegaard. If you do have him, it's getting really frustrating, and I think it may be time to cut bait, target one of the double game week midfielders of Manchester City. Maybe you go Diego Jota, expecting the Liverpool double, or maybe you take a punt on a Olise or one of the other assets, but Martin Odegaard, your spilled milk midfielder pick for Gameweek 23. And finally, in your spilled milk forward pick, I have a guy from Brighton. It's not João Pedro, it's Evan Ferguson coming in at 5.8 million. So some of the fan base still has the promising young striker, but right now the wheels on Brighton are very squeaky. João Pedro seems to be the main man down there, and the form is patchy to say the least. I know that the fixtures are great, but you can't really trust Ferguson as there are a plethora of better strikers out there, both cut price and a little more in budget. You have your Solankis, Watkins, of course the premium and Holland if you go that direction. And of course you have nice fillers around. So I can't really expect Evan Ferguson to be in your team at this point in time. I'd rather have João Pedro, of course, one of my budget strikers. So if you do have Evan Ferguson, it's time to cut bait because it's really funky. Evan Ferguson is your spilled milk forward pick for Gameweek 23. And now with the spilled milk covered, we move now into the wondering pick segment. These are the players you should keep a keen eye on with plans of bringing them in the upcoming game weeks. Last game week we had Ruben Diaz, Barrington Diaz, and Ollie Watkins. Ollie Watkins returned with a nice goal, so he had returned to form for the young English striker. Diaz again continuing his hot form since his transfer into the Premier League. Another goal, a quick fire goal in that game as well. And Ruben Diaz did not play for Manchester City, unfortunately. And this game week we are keeping a keen eye on Kyle Walker in defense, coming at 5.5 million currently. There's a lot of outside news right now on Kyle Walker. We're not going to get into that, keeping the Englishman out of the game on Wednesday may have been a tactical move by Pep to protect the club captain. So we're keeping our eyes on to see if he returns to the starting lineup come Monday night versus Brentford. And if he returns, he could be an optimal player to bring in as Manchester City head into a double game week on the horizon. And he's one of the more locked-in defenders when it comes to the tactics and the way Guardiola wants to play. But of course, there's a lot of noise around the club captain again, so we don't know if he's locked in, but we'll be keeping a keen eye on to see how and if he plays this coming Monday versus Brentford. In midfield, we're keeping our eyes on Michael Olise coming at 5.9 million from Crystal Palace. We're keeping a keen eye on this one, as he would definitely be in one of the other categories if it wasn't for that injury flag and that injury concern surrounding Mo, or Mo as I call him. So we waiting to see if the press conference is a little more optimistic on his chances of playing this upcoming weekend. And if he plays, we want to see him get through the fixture to make sure that the injury was more of a thing of the past and a concurring thing that could keep him out in the future game weeks. I would definitely recommend Michael Olise to bring into your team if we were sure he was going to play, but we all know hamstrings could be a little bit dodgy, and with the quick turnaround, I'm not too sure about the availability of Mo. So Michael Olise, we will definitely be keeping a keen eye on you, coming at 5.0 million, your wondering midfielder pick. And finally in attack, well, last week it worked for Ollie Watkins as we put him in the wondering picks segment to see if he could regain his form and scoring boots, and it worked. So this week we are picking Dominic Solanke, and we want to see how Solanke goes tonight, Tuesday night, and of course over the weekend, because there will be a lot of rotation in the forward line, and unfortunately to bring in a player you have to move out a player. We are seeing mass transfers with Alvarez leaving teams for Erling Haaland, and with the double game week coming up, a lot of players have their eyes on Tooney. Maybe they don't want to cut Alvarez and are leaning towards Solanke, with Manchester City are also playing a double, and also with Darwin Núñez and a possible Liverpool double on the horizon. So a lot of players will be looking to move on from Solanke. I do not recommend this for the upcoming game week or during the weekend. We want to see how this asset goes, and maybe if he blanks in, well, today in this game week and in game week 23, we reassess and maybe Solanke is a sell. But currently he's on the wondering pick list. And that ends the proper thing segment for this abridged episode, this quick fire episode, quick turnaround for the upcoming game week 23. I hope you all enjoyed the content, and while you're watching the video, I very much appreciate it if you could like the video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't subscribed yet. And we having a great time this season. A lot of points are on offer for the first two games on Tuesday, or the first 2 days on Tuesday and Wednesday. 2 games tonight. You know, Manchester United fans looking to see what their team could do, if they could win the game tonight. And of course, we back at it this weekend. So don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe to the channel. And now with the proper thing segment, signed, seen, and delivered, we move into captaincy corner. As I know with the quick turnaround, a lot of people having a little dilemma on who to put the armband on. I mean, last week's captain, and Kevin De Bruyne, returned with a nice 7 points. Saka was also on the list there, 10 points. So great for all those who nail their captaincy picks, and those who are waiting to see what Bowen does tonight. Good luck to you all. And this game week, it's going to be an easy decision for me. Well, between two players, so not quite that easy as I first said. It's between Ollie Watkins and of course Erling Haaland for the captaincy this week, coming at the number 1 spot. It's 50-50 for me, so they're both sharing the top honors. I mean, Ollie Watkins nailed on and plays Sheffield this upcoming game week, while Erling Haaland not so nailed on, but they play Brentford on Monday. He did have his cameo off the bench. We know how important Erling Haaland is to Manchester City and to the way Pep Guardiola plays, so we expect the scoring beast to return, but we are not 100%. So at the time of recording, it's between Ollie Watkins and Erling Haaland. Right now, if I had gone to my head and who I had to put as the captaincy pick, it would be Ollie Watkins. But it could change between now and Saturday, of course. So Ollie Watkins and Haaland, top 2 captaincy options heading into Game 23. Just below them, the guy with the safer floor but not the higher upside, we have Kevin De Bruyne. Again, I don't expect 90 minutes from Kev, but I expect him to start 65 to 70 minutes for Kevin, and we know the damage that he can do. They do play Brentford on Monday, so a little extra rest. If it was during the weekend, I would be a lot more concerned on putting the armband on the Belgium, but I expect a big game from Kevin. Again, safe floor, not as high upside as Watkins or Holland, so he only lands on 2 on captaincy corner. In third spot, with the flag on his name, is Alexander Isak, a great fixture, locked in on pens, and we don't know his availability, so he lands on 3. 4, captain consistency in Diego Jota against one of his favourite opponents in Arsenal. Again, though, it's a tough fixture, so there are better options, so Jota lands at only 4 this week. And finally, to close out the top 5, again, I have to mention Cole Palmer. If he was a more expensive asset, he would be captained a lot more frequently, but because of his price tag, people seem to be shying away from one of the most owned players in the entire game. But Cole Palmer nonetheless lands at number 5 on captaincy corner for Game Week 23. And now with the captaincy corner delivered, we have one piece of housekeeping to deliver, and that of course is my plan transfer. This upcoming game week, it's going to be a pretty much straightforward transfer for me, as it's going to be Julian Alvarez out and Erling Haaland in. I mean, I love the performance from Alvarez with the brace, but it was a nice parting gift as Erling Haaland is fit. He played a cameo, and I expect him to start versus Brentford on Monday night, and the ownership is going to skyrocket between now and deadline day. So if you don't have Erling Haaland, you could be in for a long Monday evening, and after a stressful Monday, I'm not trying to go through that. So Julian Alvarez out and Erling Haaland in. And I know a lot of you all were waiting for the race for the 10k, but of course with the game week still in progress, we don't have the final update, but I promise next episode to show you all how the table shaked out after not only Game Week 22 but Game Week 23, and also reveal the manager of the month for the first month of 2004 on January player of the month. So looking to see who came out on top in January. It should be an exciting episode, as there's also going to be a little chip segment to see how the double game weeks go in and what's the best strategy, early strategy to how to navigate your chips and stuff. So the next episode is definitely going to be an exciting one with the race for the 10k and a little chip strategy or early chip strategy to help those out who are pondering on what to do. So I want to thank you all for tuning in on this quick fire abridged episode of Proper Things. I hope you all had fun listening, because I had fun delivering the episode. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment whether you agree with the picks. If you say, Mike, I like something else and I don't really feel in those picks, I have a better alternative. And with the current Sahara dust conditions in Trinidad, I want everyone to be safe out there, and like always, to do proper things in all walks of life. I'll see you all next week.